Hi, so the question to consider today is: does faith in Christ exempt a believer from depression, anxiety, and emotional pressure? It's a question many believers ask quietly, sometimes with guilt, sometimes with confusion, and even with tears. If I truly have faith, why do I still feel overwhelmed? Why am I anxious? Why do I feel emotionally heavy? Let's be clear from the start. Faith in Christ does not make you less human. It redeems your humanity. The Bible never teaches that believers are immune to emotional pain. What it teaches is that believers are not alone in it. Remember David, a man after God's own heart. Yet he said in Psalm 42 verse 5, "Why art thou cast down, O my soul? And why art thou disquieted within me?" This was not an unbeliever speaking. This was a worshiper, a psalmist, a king. David didn't deny his emotional state. He addressed it in the presence of God. Elijah called down fire from heaven in 1 Kings 18. And in the very next chapter, he sat under a tree and asked God to take his life, not out of rebellion, but exhaustion and emotional collapse. Now, God did not rebuke him, rather, God fed him. God let him sleep, and God spoke. That alone tells us something powerful. Spiritual strength does not make you immune to emotional fatigue. Even Jesus, perfect, sinless, fully obedient, stood at Lazarus' tomb and wept in John 11:35. In Gethsemane, he also said, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful even unto death." It's Matthew 26:38. So if sorrow were proof of weak faith, Jesus would not have experienced it. So what does faith do? Faith does not eliminate pressure. It gives you an anchor in the pressure. Think of a ship in a storm. The presence of an anchor does not stop the storm. It prevents the ship rather from drifting away. Paul said in 2 Corinthians 4:8, he says, "We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair." Notice the honesty and also the hope. Pressure was real, collapse was not inevitable. Depression and anxiety are not always signs of spiritual failure. Sometimes they are signals of emotional overload, prolonged stress, unprocessed grief, or even physical exhaustion. Faith does not forbid you from seeking rest, counsel, or even help. Luke, the writer of the gospel, was a physician. So God is not threatened by wisdom or support. What faith does forbid is suffering in silence and shame. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden," and it says, "I will give you rest." He didn't say fix yourself first. He said, "Come." So no, faith in Christ does not exempt a believer from depression, anxiety, or even emotional pressure. But faith does this. It gives meaning to pain, it gives hope in the darkness, and it gives strength to endure and heal. You are not weak because you feel heavy. You are human and deeply loved. And even in the valley, your shepherd is still with you. Thanks for your time. God bless you.